If you walk down any sporting goods aisle and look through the hooks, you're gonna see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of options. In order to kind of help you with that, I've been thinking of kind of a two-prong approach to worm hooks and creature bait hooks and whatnot. You can divide them into two primary categories, light wire and heavy wire. And they both have two very specific applications in my opinion. So your light wire hooks, they're gonna be just like this. You can just barely bend them a little bit. I'm gonna use a light wire hook anytime I'm casting the bait. Now, it might sound silly. I'm talking casting as opposed to flipping and pitching short range. So anytime I'm doing like overhead and sidearm cast and trying to make a long cast and bring that bait through a strike zone, I'm a lot more apt to use a light wire hook. And there's a good reason behind that. These light wire hooks have a smaller, thinner hook point on them. Think about it, you make a long cast and you get a bite. When you set the hook, you're gonna have some loss of energy between your rod tip and this bait. Even if you're using fluorocarbon, every fluorocarbon stretches a little bit. Your rod tip stretches, you know how that works. So when you make a long distance hook set, you want a very thin diameter hook point that will penetrate the bass's mouth easier with less force. Now, when I'm pitching and flipping, I'm gonna use more of a heavy wire hook. And I use that for one very simple reason. It does not bend, or it's very hard to make it bend. When I get a bite flipping this stuff, you know, anything really, that's close combat. When you set the hook, that fish is getting a lot of pressure. I mean, there's a lot of energy going into that hook. That hook has to be able to stand up to. So when I set the hook with this heavy wire hook, it's not gonna bend. And I'm gonna use these heavy wire hooks, especially when I'm around thicker cover. If I'm flipping or pitching up under a dock, you have to really horse that fish. You can't really afford to give it any time. And heavy grass, heavy laydowns and stuff like that. So when it's close combat and you're expecting to set the hook hard in close proximity, I would highly suggest using a heavy wire hook. Something else to think about too, so when you're flipping and pitching, you know, the shallow stuff, you're usually gonna be using most of the time at least 15-pound test, if not 17, 18, or 20. So if you put heavy, large diameter line on a light wire hook, when you set the hook, that hook will bend out very quickly and very easily. I've made the same mistake and lost several fish like that. So 10, 12, maybe 15-pound test, I think that's just fine for a light wire. When you start getting above 15, 17, 20, especially fluorocarbon, I think that's when you're gonna be better suited with a heavy wire hook.